Okay, we're testing this out, and the light is a lot and bright today. So, hi, hello, and welcome to Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous. I'll be your oracle today. We're gonna wait a few minutes, allow people to get on up in the room. This is Soul Purpose Saturday. It is the weekly inspirational sermon for those waking up, looking for a light in the darkness, making their way through the matrix, recently having taken the red pill, etc., etc. So if I can get a thumbs up or a wave or something, people can let me know that you have video and audio, face and voice. Please, thank you. Okay, great. Thank you. So I have opened up the record, and I just want to kind of go back to basics, get back to business. Um, Breaking barriers. I'm hoping you can get into the new system because it's a lot easier to communicate there. And thanks for being here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the notifications of the comments. Y'all can see it amongst yourself and comments amongst yourself. Um, I'm not gonna have anything here for a moment. Great. So we're gonna let a few people get in the room. I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank you. I love you. I honor you. I praise you. Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you for your continued support, for your viewership. We are aware you have other viewing options, so thank you so much for making us one of yours. I want to say self care is sexy, y'all. So self care. That's something that I'm hearing a lot right now. I've had it confirmed so much this week, and I'm gonna get in here just a little bit. We're gonna wait another maybe 90 seconds for folks to fill up the room. Um, so today I've pulled the record, and for those who want to learn the record technology, um, check the show notes after this is published, and there'll be a link for information more about the Mitra School. But for those who want to learn about what I'm doing, the technology that I'm using, check the Mitra School. So I opened up the record of the Justice card. This is Venus in Libra. It could also be Venus in, or Saturn in Libra. But it's the record. Now, the 11th house of Justice represents um, basically your divine rights, what you're infinitely endowed with through birthright of being a human being. And this is the crown. So this is a new law, or being an outlaw, or making it up as you go in a place of righteousness or virtue, even. And I want to check into it because it's explained, or it's clarified by the 10 of Wands. Now this is the Golden Tarot, and it's this is my favorite tarot deck in all of creation throughout all of time. And I have thousands of years on this earth, and I remember a lot of them. And I've always loved this deck. So I love the Visconti Sforza version specifically, but this is the Golden Tarot. So I wanted to check into shadow. I wanted to check into the way through the darkness. Now, my understanding thus far, and I'm going to share a lot about this maybe in a shadow briefing, but I've gone through so much ascension as of late. I don't want to say it that way. I feel like I've started my fourth level of ascension. And so I'm going to talk about it in my own private circles, my own private channels, like Priestess Gorgeous here on YouTube. I'm going to talk about maybe like a shadow briefing, or the emerging of a descent that I recently made to the depths of my soul. And I took a cold hard look at my programming and conditioning in respect to, like, I'm noticing that I can't grow into myself fast enough. So, like, I can make decisions on tomorrow, but according to who I am today, right? And like, what about who am I going to be a month from now, a year from now? And I want to honor these things and praise these things and be reverent to these things as of service, but also humble, and present. Like, I don't want to get away from the right now. And this is like that I was having with myself. And a couple things I've been unpacking this inventory for some time, maybe since the end of June. I got a bitch slap from the goddess. And she gave me some harsh adjusting feedback. And I've been unpacking an inventory that I took around then. And it was shadow and heavy. A lot of shadow came out, or a lot of um, room for improvement came out. Things that I would say I'm no longer in alignment with. So again, back to like, how do you make decisions today for who you're growing to be? How do we get into the conversation of where is this bigger, brighter, better person? You know, if there's a bigger, brighter, better me, how can I learn who this person is? Or how can I just face in that direction, even if most of the time I'm going to be off course, if I can keep returning to center, or refocusing, reframing, how does this look like? What is the technology for that? So I have the record. I'm opening up the library here, and I'm going to open this house of light with this key. This is the master key for right now. And it's going to be pretty Saturn heavy. So Saturn is the lord of ascension. Sakpata, Babalue, whomever, however, whatever you interface. And it is the keeper of our solar system. So the solar system weaves in the concept and idea in the mystery school of Dipalas. The lords of space versus the lords of time. The lords of time would be the planets, and time is the vehicle for karma to manifest. And time is really the cycle of the planets. It's not what we've been initiated, indoctrinated, conditioned, programmed into. The 1260 system, it's called, with the 12 hours, 60 minutes, is not true. It is a base 10 system established by the colonizer for the purpose of oppressive agendas, so that you could be divided, split, polarized in your nature. So your nature would be Christ versus Jesus. Those are the two options. Because Jesus is also Lucifer, if you didn't know. You might object. There's something alive in you that's violently responding to that. I can help you with your work if you're ready. So I guess there's enough time. People have gotten in the room. Hi, hello, and welcome to Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous. I'll be your oracle today. I'm here to bring you the Soul Purpose Saturday for the week of August 11th through 17th, 2018. Blessed new moon. Blessed be your ancestors. Blessed be you for being here. Thank you for the mission that you bring and the purpose that you walk here in this lifetime. I honor you. I praise you. I thank you. Ha'onoponopono, I love you. I guess I'm going to talk about a little bit of a shadow and give a little bit of medicine for some shadow. What's alive with me right now is the sun. The sun's coming through. So I have that. I'm going to take on the purpose of the La Imperatore. So the emperor. The emperor is appointed. I mean, the emperor is elected versus appointed empress. And he's elected by the powers that be, the governors of this universe. So we would know those are the planets or the seven colors of the rainbow, whatever that whole little seven story, seven patron saints, however that's integrating with you, whatever the solar rays, the hues of man that you're interfacing with, that's this. So his bosses are the gods. He's the spiritual CEO responsible to the heavens for the highest aspect or the highest deliverance of the collective. Okay. So in reverse, it says that, well, this tells me in reverse, it's really, it's more coming through me than from me. So let me switch it up. Let me actually be a little bit more sovereign, be a little bit more Melchizedek. So I'm going to be using the principle of 33 right now. I'm going to switch the veil. I'm going to put on the oracle crown. And we're going to go on a journey, that of justice. So if we were to lose our life right now, if we were to die, I don't like to say die, it's divide. If our spiritual self were to divide from our physical self, what would that reconciliation look like? So if we were to come into alignment, I'm going to facilitate that working in reverse. It's going to come through me. So I'm going to channel Ma'at, and we're going to start What I have here is the need for new laws, new order, new understanding on the comings and goings, how this working looks like when you incarnate here. And if you want to come to the world, incarnate on Earth, you need to come correct. And there's a syllabus you need to read before you come to class. And I'm actually going to read you in. I'm going to read you in on that. We're going to do a little briefing. So it's about the working itself. You take a little bit of the good with the bad, because that's how you remain balanced. And so this working needs to come from you standing in your power. You need to understand the King of Cups, your spiritual self. You need to understand your spiritual self. That's what it looks like. That's how it works. Understand your spiritual self. And this is the self projected out towards the world from your understanding of your place in the heavens as it appears in the physical. So amongst other souls, you are known for what? So in a way, in terms of the conversation of incarnation, if we were standing in front of Ma'at, the way you would be judged by Ma'at for that is what is your truth and what is your knowledge of the self? So what of your sense of truth and divinity? How do you stand in your truth and divinity? Are you engaging with your truth and your divinity? So your truth and your divinity. Your sense of truth and your divinity. When you engage with the world, how does that look? And whatever laws are related to that, are you in alignment with them? So does the sacred geometry help you, give you life, or does it destroy you? Because if it's destroying you, that's death, and you're creating from a place of darkness, and that's fine, but then you're a demon, and you don't get into heaven if you're standing before me. That's the conversation there. So the working looks like this. Okay, there's things that need to be confronted, and there's things that needed to be confronted over the cycles of time. So I'm just gonna boom, 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 real quick. Okay, so you run through the dials, and this doesn't make sense to this, because we got to switch it up just quickly. I'm having a moment of lucidity. Just real quick, because understand that Ma'at synchronizes time. She brings you into alignment. So, because we're looking for darkness, and I'm going to talk to you, because darkness is spelling out in the world card, in the world house, and it came describing the journey through the physical. So when you come into the physical, when you incarnate into a physical body in the physical pentacles, you come under the rulership of this being. And that's all about what it means. And then you have straight and a diagonal all the way to the crown, the top, boom dada. So all that means is reconciling your karma, because the other mirrored card is your self-worth and value. So I'll bring it back around. Understand that the devil, or the beings that are operating under the energy of the devil, the collective that's the sun, the collective that is Luciferian in nature, Satanist in their nature, they project externally that energy of that soul group. Okay, what they've done is they brought in that Death Star, that dark star, moon, somewhere where it could bring the Saturn's energy into the physical here on Earth. And they've brought us under the hologram, or the reality, false reality, or the matrix is the time space that you're in, the universe that you're in, the womb that you're in, of the moon and Saturn, but the negative hidden aspect. That's why moon rules over occult. So let me tell you, Uranus goes around the sun every 88 years, but Mercury goes around the sun every 88 days. Okay, so they've done something. They've tied something in. Time does not work the way that we think it, because actually one lifetime here is a day for God. There's a reason why the hangman has this guy hanging off, this god, Odin, from the world tree for 9 days. 7 days, you have to have 7 perfect lifetimes. It might take you 20,000 years to do this, but you have to have 7 perfect lifetimes. The Ascension happens in the 8th and the 9th, so there will be once or twice where you incarnate, not always on Earth, but it usually is in a humanoid form. And typically you're of service. Now you could do this on your 6th and 7th as well. Starseed children often do that. Okay? So 8th and 9th is more universal. 1 through 7, that's very much to do with the human experience. There's very much to do with the physicality. But understand something. Your physicality is not always your actual body. Normally, it's your emotions. Emotions are physical. And right now, since we're stuck here, we're under oppressors. What's going on is we're trapped in the physical. In the third dimension, you get all types of polarization. You get all types of schisms. It actually freaking sucks. I mean, I feel that the third dimension is hell. If you're living below the heart and you're in the third dimension, you're living in hell. And if you worship the god of hell, you'll come back bound to that. So human is where you have free will because you get to make a choice. There are other beings that we're quarantined from seeing. When you are aware of what the game plan is, you tend to deviate from it a lot less. So if you come knowing that you're an angel or a god or a goddess and that you go back and you get judged when you die, you'll act a lot differently than you do when you have free will. So this is what Ma'at deals with. Yeah, nobody knows that you stole that $5, but you know. And can you still sleep at night with it? Right? Nobody knows you're cheating on your wife, but you know. Can you sleep at night? Will your heart be heavier than a feather? And what are they saying? You have the heart chakra, the number 4, the 4th sign, the 4th house, the 4th dimension. You have the galactic heart chakra, the galactic chakra. That's 8, right? The 8th house, the 8th dimension. And so think about it. That's the concept and idea of death. I was saying earlier, Scorpio is the concept and idea of the sphincter. And there's more than the anal sphincter. It is the controller. So think of your guts. It's interesting because it rules detox. What can you let out? What can you destroy? What can you release? What can you cut out? When in an incarnational cycle, what is in the depths of your soul? So that's the concept and idea of Scorpio and the death card too. Can you sleep at night? So we have here Justice, Ma'at, in the crown. And that means new laws. You need to figure out new normals. You need to have a new credo. And it's true because the Fool ends up in the death house. So this is a new ending, a new transition. I feel like it's the need to release. Because then you have this death card in the High Priestess house. So that means visions of the end, or like these are the kinds of realizations that these are the inciting incidents that kind of change your mind. Like these epiphanies shatter you from the inside out, but they literally, it's like the heart breaks first and then you see it come into the physical. It's that kind of like premonition. It's like the dream that comes true, and it's not the one that you like, it's the one that haunts you slightly. So when that's what happens when the death card comes to the High Priestess house. For me, because basically it's either release or endings. And it can be cut out, and if it's upright, it's under no uncertain terms. For me, it's Saturn coming to the 8th house. And so, combined with the energy of the 8 of Wands, you have a portal open of death. And that means like there's life after death. And what must die is everything that keeps you from the light. So if you're sitting there in the High Priestess energy, and High Priestess actually ended up in the Tower. So these are scary visions, scary truths. It's elaborated with the 7 of Cups. So that's a timing indicator. Sometime in the next week, in the next 7 days, you'll need to make a choice. It'll need to be a choice on a soul level. Cups, you may be overwhelmed. These truths may be, you may have too many vices. Seven of Cups. This type of fuckery, this type of fuckery, this type of bullshit, this little story, this little stupid lie they told you, this little bullshit, this little bullshit. The whole little house is built on lies. That's if it comes in the tower house. It may all come falling down when you have that epiphany. But basically, it's your truth. I mean, Ma'at is the priestess of heaven. It's Uriel. Ma'at is a priestess. All she does is make sure everything's in alignment. Are you right with God? Are you living from the higher self or the lower self? You want to be all about some bullshit. You want to have the little devil in your little sphincter in your bowels ruling you. If you want the beast to be alive and you've clipped your own wings, you haven't come through some strength, courage, and wisdom. You haven't been able to align yourself through the eternity of your incarnations. I ain't want to fuck with you. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It wasn't ever up for discussion. That's how it was designed. If you're not in alignment, you get to stay in the darkness. So let me keep looking here. I want to see. We've clearly established the problem. Let's see what the solution is. So the high priestess showed up in the tower house. Remember those raining down visions about how you built your life on ain't no nothing. You have to look at it that way to release your attachment to the physical, because we can do many good things. We could have children. There's no way you could guilt yourself into that, even if they don't grow up to do great things. You could start all types of things. You could touch souls. You could save lives. You could be alive here with your heart open and your mind open and see with love. You could be just doing that for the first time. So it's really about the only thing you can take with you where you're going after here is the love you build, the legacy you leave behind. And yeah, maybe if you have a really, really, really strong business that's like and structured as a trust or something, that might last a couple lifetimes, but there's not a lot that survives. The money, the cars, the bullshit doesn't survive. Even the drama goes, girl. Now, drama could trip you up though, because you could lose your soul. You could give it to something. You could start hating on somebody, or becoming overly materialistic, and I call it marinating in whatever. Insert adjective. So when you're marinating on anything materialistic, when you're marinating on any type of hate, no, that goes to this. You do not want this at the time of death. Already, you're flagged when you show up to that office. When you show up to the halls of Ma'at, when you walk through the halls of Amenti. See, the halls of Amenti is when your life gets projected to you. And it could happen in the fourth dimension, but the halls of Amenti lives in the fifth dimension because it's divine truth. It's built on top of the astral. So basically what happens, and the Akasha is built on top of the halls of Amenti. The calls, the Akashic record is, where are you creating from? Are you creating from the light, or are you creating from the dark? And what power does that give you? Because you could be powerful, you could just be a powerful demon too. So fuck your power, fuck your money. And fuck your mama if all she's doing is popping out demons. I mean, bless your ancestors for bringing you here because you have some type of lesson. Something to teach. Maybe you're the negative cause in somebody's environment for them to step into their power and their karma. That happens. This is what narcissists are for, right? So the Akashic record tells us if you're ruling from the power source. You're using source energy to create, but are you creating from the light, or are you creating from the dark? Are you creating from the third eye, the higher self, or are you creating from the lower self, the ego, the sacral chakra for men? I mean, for women usually, and that's the inferiority. The solar plexus for men, and that's the superiority. But those two places are the devil, Anything below the heart is the devil. And you do have a second brain. It's in your stomach. There's a whole constitution down there. And I mean, I share a lot of this in Lodge. You can access the Lodge through Mystery School, or you can just pay to come to Lodge. But when I tell you the structures of the universe, there is a God that lives in hell that is the twin of the God that we understand as like the benevolent God. Do you understand? Actually, Vishnu, we know this with the Zeus, Jupiter, and Neptune. You know, Poseidon lives in the sea. That's the hell god. And it's actually a beautiful place. And there are beautiful beings that live there. And there are beings with immense power, with large principalities, and a say in the functions that be, and the things that are here in our universe in the divine realms. They have an order to peck out for themselves. And there's virtue there. But the thing about material is you will always experience that death, that decay, that destruction. So there's always something about being divided. Anything with a DE, the way the controllers created this language, it means that you're divided from your higher self. That rest in peace, RIP, rest in peace, means where you forever in eternity be in two pieces. You're Jesus separated from your Christ. Let me tell you about Jesus. It was the name of the very first slave ship. It's when the queen became an empress of India. Not really, but that's basically it's a joke. If you really understand that joke, you understand my type of occultism. So when the hive mind of the oppressed beings, those operating on the new world systems and technologies, their little GMO foods, their little science and their Bibles and all that little things, when the devil got a foothold, that little hive mind, because queens, their subjects all operate under a certain type of frequency. Okay? So let's look at this. We have this high priestess in the tower. So that's scary visions, visions that completely take out the foundation. So one epiphany can unravel your life. And you're going to learn that the way your ego has been sitting here in the world is, because the tower showed up in the emperor house, there has to be a change in your structures, in your systems, in your foundations. If they're not spiritual and if they're not building a nation, they ain't no nothing, because this is shown up in the magician house. The magician house is what you come to teach the world. So you come to be the boss of the teachers, to be the boss of the technicians, of the tacticians. And we need to use our skills, our crafts. We need to understand the barter economy. We need to understand energy exchange, value exchange, and what we're doing, the energy we're putting out in the world needs to be a better place, make it a better place. When we put our heart and our soul, our time and our energy into something, it needs to be that of building a nation, that of belonging to a society, of a guild, of a tribe. It needs to assist in the journey of those who are in the soul group coming and going through this world. And how we're going to do that is, whatever we're passionate about. So this is the magician has ended up in the strength house. And the strength house is, what are your passions? What are your passion and compassion is the galactic chakra, 8. So this is La Tantrika, and La Tantrika is, the house of the winged serpents, by the way. It's raising the kundalini. So I'm hearing the word ecstatic bliss. If you're not in alignment with... So if you're not doing what your passions are, you're not going to have a good journey through this life. If your soul purpose, mission, karma, destiny, really, frankly, as a being and the group that you belong to as a being. So I'm also seeing the Starbucks label. I'm hearing Yemaya and Sekhmet, the Baphomet. all those fallen beings that are tied to that soul group. So I'm getting weird vision stuff, and it's hard on me. So really what I want to say is when the magician falls in the strength house, your ambitions need to be aligned with your craft, because the magician for me is what you're doing. It's your craft, your skills. I am a diviner. I'm an oracle. Technically my skill is clairomancy, but I'm an augurmancer, truly. Omens. I see patterns, connections, numbers, frequencies, algorithms, vibrations. I tune into frequencies. Hatari magic, the goddess Hathor. The cow beings. So any being that interfaces well with Venusian energy, that tends to be where the harmonization of my skills is. And it's true. So for those of you who have a Mercury conjunct Venus, you'd know exactly what I mean if you get with me. Especially when Venus has the lower degree and Mercury has the higher degree. Because if you have a conjunction like that, the planet with the higher degree is the crown, and the planet with the lower degree is the throne. So I have a Mercury crown, Venus throne in my chart. And it's very true in the way that my work comes to be. And see, when you come into this kind of initiation when you know those things about yourself. And in the strength house, it would talk about that's what the eternity of your soul, the collective of all your lifetimes needs. Now, the strength card showed up in the Empress house. So strength, courage, and wisdom, self-worth and value, both of them. Now, the Empress house talks about what you're nurturing into creativity, into the physical through your nurturing and creativity. And it could talk about the home, it could talk about your sense of beauty and things like that. It's like you need to brace for impact. You need to embrace yourself even more. You can't be out of alignment anymore. Your soul and your heart needs to dance inside your body all the time. And if you feel stifled or put in a cage or put in a cubicle or put in a cube, it's not put in a prism. Essentially, no. Your life will become more and more and more destructive. The visions will become scarier and scarier and scarier and scarier. You'll notice that you lose your foundation more and more and more and more and more. Things that are going on, like losing your keys or having to come back home 5 times because you forget your wallet, you forget your damn mind, you forget your keys, you forget your common damn sense, got to come back 5 times to collect your shit. Those types of moments is when God is laughing at you, saying, girl, I'm going to fuck you up. You better get it together. It's true. Because if you're not standing in self-worth and value, and if you don't have strength, courage, and wisdom, essentially you're giving away your soul. We could extrapolate it. It might take a minute, but to hear what I'm saying. So that's what it is. When you're spending your money, when you're spending your time, when you're putting your energy into something, you are pledging your soul. And if you're not in alignment, the devil's gonna get you because you're imprisoned. You have an external locus of control. Your power exists on the outside of you. And the Empress is in the Devil house. So, no, Shiva is not the hell god. Shiva is on the earth. Brahma is in the heavens. Vishnu is in the bowels. So the snake kingdom, Vishnu is in that kingdom. The ego kingdom, Brahma's in that kingdom. And then the animal kingdom, Shiva walks the earth. When you're under the sun, you're under destruction. You have to die in order to get back to the afterlife. So just checking in on the comments, and it's intense here. Hello. Hi. Giggle Glimmer, I'd love for you to get into Slack. I sent you an invite. So we can talk a lot more. So I'm going to do the sermon in a few minutes. And I suppose we can we're going to pull from the archetypes, and we're going to pull from the Sacred Rebel. Oh, my. Okay, let's not make it any worse. I just had a tower of tarot cards fall over. Oh, it makes me laugh. Okay, so when the Empress shows up in the Devil house, what happens? Hi, Raina. But getting back to you soon, dear. When the Empress falls out in the tower, in the Devil House, that means being punished for your beauty. See, the Devil House talks about what your obsessions are. And these are the things that divide you from your light, divide you from that Ma'at energy, divide you from being in alignment. Now, the Devil, if you think about it, it is the archetype, excuse me, it is the Well, yeah, it's the archetype of Capricorn. Capricorn is the gatekeeper of physicality. It tends to be the executive. It tends to be the ruler. It's the one with the most control. Typically Capricorn control. Literally, what it is, if you imagine looking at something, a piece of equipment has some type of dashboard, and there's all these little knobs and stuff. Capricorn is that one who has the most amount of expertise for adjusting the knobs. They're not the adjuster of the knob. They know, they can define with precision what the output would be. And think of it that way, because in life and in the concept and idea of the temple, think about, there's two concepts and ideas there. You have the equipment and the operator of the equipment. So you have the beast and the thing that's riding the beast. And the yin would be the beast, and the yang would be the thing that's riding the beast. So the yin would be the womb, and the yang would be the third eye. And so the devil is how you control the earth. If you think in the emperor is mind over matter, trying to control nature. But you're doing that out of fear, because when storms come through, when natural disasters come through, you are fearful for your life. But that means the God that you worship is the God of hell and damnation, the God Almighty. You don't feel that you're one with God, so you're going to go and face Ma'at in a certain way. It ain't the way to go face Ma'at, in my opinion, just to let me tell you. And really what you want to do is you want to be one with God. You want to recognize the God alive inside, and you want to understand that your relationship to Great Spirit is that you are the physical flame. You are the staff of that rod and staff union. And you are that rod of that rod and staff union. The staff is the thing that has the control. You're the body being driven by the Creator. So whoever sits on your head, whoever your goddess is, that's what you need to understand. And that's going to get you into trouble for two things. Number one, you don't know your self-worth and value. The oppressor lied to you. They told you a lie. They conditioned, they programmed you to serve a function of being controlled, meaning you were enslaved and you didn't know it. And that you are one with spirit. Your eternal partner is Great Spirit, and that's what you don't know about yourself. And that's the suffering that's been inflicted upon you, Nine of Swords. And that's in the Devil House. The devil is your obsession, your compulsion, your shadow. And so we have the archetype of Capricorn. That is the controller of the physical. But the concepts and ideas is Uranus in the 8th house, Pluto in the 11th house. Pluto in the 11th house, that's an oppressor over the collective, tyranny over the collective. What about Uranus in the 8th house? That's when you're giving your power away. So that's what the devil means. Someone has control, you're in a cycle, you might not be able to get out of it. You're either giving away your soul or you're being oppressed. That's the devil. Empress has shown up in the Devil House with the Nine of Swords. So sometime over the next month, you're going to have to face up to the truth of your self-worth and value and how you're giving it away. What's controlling you? And the devil is over here in the World House. So this is in the underworld. You're living in hell, and you need to understand the ways that you're doing it. If you don't know where the light is, you're never going to be able to get out of the dark. So become comfortable with what you don't know. Ask yourself what it is. Learn how to take an inventory. Literally go through you, see what's alive in you. This is your inner whatever. So your inner money hungry child is what the Page of Pentacles is. You know, your journey through the physical. How does your soul collect abundance? It ain't banknotes. You can't take them to heaven with you. So what I'm understanding, it could also, real estate, because you can keep that a couple lifetimes. Oh, this is a funny conversation. I like this room. I don't like that the devil's the one in the room, but it's the world house. It's the universe's house. And this is where things come into completion, where you're victorious, how it looks like when you win the game. Well, if you're gonna have to go deal with the devil, you better be a boss ass B. I'm a boss ass. It's coming through. I'm hearing it. And you know that song is just ratchet, but I'm totally hearing that song. Yeah. Well, the devil ended up in the world house. The world ended up in the judgment house. And the judgment is the aha moment. So you're working under somebody else's powers, and this is something for ascension. That somebody else has command over your soul, and that's what you don't like. So it's a dangerous place for you until you get control over back over your soul. And that's what it means in the judgment house. Judgment is house is that aha moment. That's also Ifa. That tells me what Ifa would say. Ifa says that Mami Wata, you're a child of Mami Wata, but you need to get back to her. That you're hung up on a tree, you're in a bottle, you're attached to something else, you're in the wrong groups of souls. You have more attachments. You have attachments to the wrong matrix. Because Mami Wata is the organic matrix. And the false matrix is what's on top of the Starbucks label. Same being, same technology. Just like there's two tax systems, there's the tax system of the rich and the tax system of the poor. Do you pay interest or are you paid interest? Do people owe you or do you owe other people? Are you a have or are you a have not? How are you divided here? Are you with God, poor, black? Are you stuck in the material, whether you were white and accidentally born into a white body, you just went to the moon instead of the sun, when you died you went to the wrong light, now you're in the prison body? This is a lifetime of being enslaved to the devil. You know, how are you polarized? That's always the question, and that's why we have to face Ma'at. So the Judgment card is falling out in the Hangman house. So that's a lot of innovation and creation. Now, the Hangman house can talk about delays, but it also talks about what your soul is coming into knowledge of. What it is then that this experience needed to give you a different perspective of. The Hangman house tells you what's this different perspective looks like. Well, you needed to get in alignment with your soul, the part of you that expands through all of creation, past, present, and future in the same space and the same time. What is that causal body doing for you? Not the silver cord, but the golden cord. It's been bringing to the forefront what the Brahmanical path. When it shows up in the ninth house, I need to ask a couple questions. The ninth house is the Hermit house. So it's defined by this Page of Wands. So that's your need to experience life. That's the spirit. Um, it is that is what you need to be. Those things matter more than anything else. If you're waking up in the morning and it's steady on the grind, money on the mind, got to make it happen, nobody's gonna do it for you. You're on your own. The world's out to get you. Ooga booga booga taxes. Ooga booga booga mortgage. Ooga booga booga. Mr. Motherfucker. At home, you gotta go to. You gotta make your money. You gotta spend your job. You gotta feed your children. Whatever that little rat race, instead of, oh my gosh, I get to wake up today and I'm so blessed that this is my life and I get to be of service. And I get to work for the goddess. And the deeper I come to the goddess, the more my life is abundant and bountiful. Does that make sense? Because all of the pages are priestesses. All of the pages are really, they are it they're the child of the goddess. The queen is the goddess. So the page is the human aspect of whatever this is. It's Venus of the fire sign. So this is a child of Sekhmet. And see, Sekhmet children are all about fairness, all about virtue, all about righteousness, but they need to come into that spirit through falling in the darkness. And they fall into darkness when they get led astray according to their spiritual power. Their spiritual power would be what the wands is: passions, drives, desires, ambitions, motivations. Heart's desires, too. The generative energy going on the journey to create something. The first creation's in the mind. Something gets thought of in the mind before it ever comes into the physical. It's like when you leave your spouse. You leave your spouse way before, in your mind, way before it comes into the physical. You might have left your marriage a year before the papers even come through. You hear what I'm saying? So that's what it is. You need to learn where it is that you're creating from. And it could also talk about love letters too, when the hangman comes to the Hierophant house. I'm not Hierophant, Hermit house. Hermit house. So now the Hermit has fallen out in the Temperance. And the House of Temperance is about what it is that your angelic communication looks like. How is it that you're being talked to by the heavens? And this is a person who has a Brahmanical path. So this is Lo Brahmano. That's a lodge in the temple. It talks about Brahmanical studies. Brahmanical studies is the Dharmic path. That's the first house, fifth house, ninth house. First house is who you are, what's alive in you, the path that you're on, how it is that you see the world. Your that was my third eye blinking. Your spirit, karma, life path, destiny. That's the first house. The fifth house. No, this is all those things combined. The fifth house is your passions, drives, desires, ambitions, motivation. It's the generative energy. It's the love you have for yourself and others. The ninth house is how you see the universe, how the universe interacts with you. It's the bigger, brighter, better. It's when you begin to see the future. So that's the ninth house. That's the beliefs in terms of your philosophy for the collective. We call it house of religion, spirituality. It is your belief system that is universal. It's your universal belief system. Because you have an internal belief system, the second house. You have an external belief system, the third house. The second house is your family unit, your values. The third house is your community, how you move through the world. Your close community, not the community that you belong to just because you're queer. There's queer people all around the world. There's married women all around the world. But, you're this, and this, and you live in this neighborhood. That's your community, right? So that all of those things are coming into this energy for some reason. All of those things need to be measured, need to be known of. That's where the change can happen. And I'm going to recap in just a minute. So the change can happen right there. By bringing your ambitions, your drives, your desires, your passions, your motivations into your strength, courage, and wisdom. And your strength, courage, and wisdom is how you live your life, what you're sitting in. You sit in your strength, courage, and wisdom. And you test it, you measure it by your autonomy, franchise, and control. So when you need to ask questions about how strong and how well you're living in your strength, courage, and wisdom, the first measure you take is autonomy, franchise, and control. And you look like, okay, well, where is my power coming from? Am I in control of myself, or is somebody tell me what I make? Somebody tell me what I'm worth? Does somebody tell me what I can do? Can I sleep at night? Right? Am I worried that karma's going to get me? Am I worried that the truth's going to come out? Am I worried that I'm going to suddenly lose my reputation, my fortune, my this, my that? And then, what is my power? What kind of changes can I enforce, can I effect over whatever groups, people, places, or things? What can I control? How many of these things can I control? So remember I said operator or equipment, beast or the rider of the beast. So I know we went on a roundabout different way, but I will recap really quickly. Something caught my attention. Just gonna move this over to the side. Great. Perfect. So again, we've been going on this journey of being in alignment, being in balance, and it really happens through the working. The working that we're in is coming into the physical is when literally we can do the work, do the magic of the universe. So we're going to need to be humble with our lessons. Because understand, even if we know the secret, it would have had to be some darkness for us to find it. So instead of talking about the house, let's talk about the key. The key, Hermit, instead of the temperance house, the key to the hermit, when I see this, is what are you teaching? What light can you hold up in the darkness? This would be, what is it that you carve out of darkness? You can always turn a bad outcome into a positive outcome. How does that ritual, how does that working look like for you? How do you turn your lemons into lemonade? How do you turn your poison into medicine? How do you turn your tests, your trials, your tribulations into testimony? How do you turn your mess into messages? How is your life itself the vehicle for your spiritual ascension? What does your causal body look like, your mercurial body look like? How well do you recite your meditations, your tones, your mantras? How on point are your mudras? How on point is your practice? How many recitations have you done? XYZ, LMNOP, ABC, TUV. So that's what this is. But this is literally when you see the problem, you can see it for what it is. You can perceive the phenomena of the universe. You're not off in some parallel universe of catastrophization, stepping out of alignment by thought alone. So no matter what's going on, it's always going to come through the sacred geometry, no matter the inputs. It will be extrapolated through the spiritual technology and it will come out with the same transmutation. So that's what it is when it comes to the temperance house. The temperance is in the justice house. So the justice house is the end of the story. And this is peaceful resolution, stepping into perfect alignment, perfect abundance. I'm just going to read this one to you. And we're in about that hour, so I'll get the sermon ready and we'll get to go. I keep hearing this Daisy, or what is not Daisy? Dixie Chicks song. It's so annoying. So a little bit of bad with the good, a little bit of good and the bad. Tolerance of tolerance and equality is what this means, and it is knowing that you're going to be in the darkness, but you need to be of the light. Even if you need to be around people covered in shit, you could be dripping in gold. And to have that kind of consciousness and compassion is what it is. So let's recap here really quickly. So this is a new law, a new alignment. We must go on the journey of being in alignment. And the way that looks is it's going to start out understanding what needs to come to a death. What we need to take the journey of facing our fears, confronting what's alive inside. If we don't allow those things to move, there's always going to be something making us attached more to the physical than the spiritual. So this death, these endings, these releasings happen. Anything that's in the way or that's slowing down the ashe moving around our authentic self. So our authentic self, we do need to re-stabilize, we need to reconstitute that foundation. Some things may need to get burned down to the ground. And we're going to know in the next week what this is. So by the next sermon, what I'm saying now will be coming true for you. It will step into the physical. And it's going to happen around our foundation. So the foundations, the structures, the systems. We will need to have something stripped on an emotional level. If there's an illusion, if there's a lack of alignment, if something has the wrong vibration, the wrong tone frequency, it will be eradicated. It might be violently ripped away from us. With the tower being there, it's on top of the Five of Cups, and it's in the Emperor house. It's a change in the foundation of some kind. A change in controls, change in structures. No, change in the foundation. Structure would be that higher fan. So the Emperor is in the Magician house. So this is a talented leader, but you need to lead yourself, march to the beat of your own drum. You have a foundation, you just don't feel comfortable there, or you're not able to manifest that externally right now. It needs to go inside. You need to reconstitute yourself in some way, restructure what your insides look like, so that you can tolerate this death, because you're turning your back on this transition that you need to do. And your psyche, your intuition keeps telling you to move forward in some way, and it's not happening. So again, we need to have strength, courage, and wisdom in this, because we have a talent. It's not latent, it's talent. Latent and talent are the same. It's an anagram. That's the freaking matrix, y'all. I know I was cursing up a storm. I just stopped, whatever spirit that was. I don't know if I can keep it clean, because if a spirit comes through that is a little bit violent, but that spirit's gone. So the thing is that we have something alive in us that can put us at purpose here. And when we're at purpose, we're in alignment. If we can deal with a couple of months of things being eradicated from our life and we can stay in our practice, we'll stay in alignment. Sometimes we step into alignment and things get removed, rebuked, revoked. They get rescinded. They get, repelled out of our lives. That's like a retrograde. If it's something's out of alignment, if it's not structured properly, it's going to get ripped out. And the strength, courage, and wisdom has to come to our self-worth and value. If we can't stand up and honor our worth, if we don't treat ourselves like a queen, if we don't treat ourselves like a goddess, unless we really truly are crowned and sovereign, our spirits won't strike them down. Well, actually, our spirits will strike us down. So don't be giving up the goodies to nobody that ain't no nothing. Don't be putting death in your body. Don't be fucking with no demons if you ain't gotta be. Outside of the job, cut them out of your life, and then cut that job out of your life and get your life right. Get your mind right. Get your spirit right. Get it together. That's what's going to get you out of the devil's house, because right now it's just suffering. So choose yourself. Choose your spirit. Choose your spiritual nature above all else. The alternative is not good enough. Not good enough. Now, again, this is the underworld. So we are in hell. This incarnation, we must be under the devil. We must be in darkness in order to figure out what our power is. If we can't burst out of those eggs and struggle up the mountain, we won't have no power on the other side. And it is the journey through the physical. So when we come into the body in the physical, this is our physical body. Versus like the Page of Cups would be your emotional body, or the Page of Wands would be like your spiritual body, or the Page of Swords would be your mental body. This is the physical body. So when you're born into the physical, you're under the devil, period. And what that means is you need to have an understanding of what the opportunity is. When you're under somebody else's power, there's an opportunity that you're given, and that is to create, to have an incubation for your soul to learn, to grow in its consciousness. And as long as your vibration is higher when you come out than it was when you go in, you get to go on to the next stage. And if it's less than what it was when you went in, you die, or you go into a prison body. That's why they want the world at 500 million population. The Georgia Guidestone's 500 million, 500 million. Ooh, that was deep. And so this is saying that the time should go into your path, into your spiritual practice, into righteousness, into the dharmic path. That's all the stuff that deals with the fire energy, so that's the spiritual body. And that's what this whole incarnation is about. The hangman is when you're in the matrix, in the physical. So this is when the soul is trapped in the body. That's what this is talking about. The soul is trapped in the body. Because you are God. And if you believe God's outside of you, that's that whole Jesus bullshit. Sorry. There's some fuckery, just so you know. You've been enslaved. I'm just got to tell you. Don't give a fuck what you got to say about it. That's the truth, honey. Go away if you got to argue. So that little journey, the thing to master that is it needs to be with spirit. If you don't know how to mix in a little bit of light in that darkness, if you can't look at two concepts and ideas in the mind at the same time, you will be polarized. Therefore, you will not be angelic, because you'll be stuck up in the Jesus and you will have forsaken the Christ. If you do not anoint yourself, is fuckery. And if you cannot anoint yourself, you don't deserve yourself. Period. Because at one time or another, you weren't a man who was hanged. You were sovereign and serene. You were made in the eyes of God. You were not split and divided. You were whole. You didn't fall. You were not fallen. So if you're unwilling to participate, to get back to that place, you will not be on your throne, period. And then it goes back to the Justice card. So that's the end of the story. And this is Saturn in the 10. So this is the spiritual belief, the spiritual philosophy. If your spiritual belief and philosophy has given away your power, it is therefore enslaved your soul. Okay, this class is missed. So let's read this sermon. And then I'll be holding office hours. If anybody has questions or needs a one-on-one time, or if there's anything in terms of open-ended something going on, email me at oracle@vertexofabundance.org. And literally I'll be holding office hours at 3:30 in private chambers. So it's unless you have the Zoom handle, you'll need to I need to invite you. It's a fine day, people open windows, they leave the houses just for a short walk. Going beyond normal. La da 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 dee da da da. Yes. I'm just checking in with the comments finally. I hope I answered your question, Brandon. Shiva's on earth. Vishnu is in hell. Brahma's in heaven. But to certain types of beings, hell is their heaven. To beings that are stuck in the lower, that's the real heaven. They can't live in the light the way that we can. And we need to be built on top of hell. If we don't have a shadow self, there's no way the soul can survive. The soul gets anchored into the darkness. That's what happens. So this is going beyond normal on the grounds of power of attraction. So remember I was saying you're going to be repelled from old people, places, and things? So we have this card. I'll read this sermon, but it's on the grounds of this. So I'll just intuitively go. Well, 13 for me is the thing that helps you break free of time. Break free of cords, break free of attachments. That's the 0 point. That's the ophucus. It's when you're turning your eye on. A person who's under the number 13, they're an apocalyptic midwife, which means they hold the sacred container of their own death. They allow themselves to release their old system structures, paradigms, belief models, things that enslave their power. And oftentimes, the biggest attachment is love. And love is also the biggest bridge into ascension, but it's easy to go into descension. That's why the Lover's card is 6 and the Devil's card is still a 6, but love spelled backwards is evil. So here it's saying that our eternal partnership is with Great Spirit. That's a lot of the concept about my twin flame research is that I believe twin flame is your higher self in the heavens, and that you can anchor the energy into the physical through a member of your soul group. Now, your soul group, you have about 60 of them that you incarnate with. 30 of them are around your life at any given time, unless, of course, you're an extreme introvert. Now, essentially, your soulmate can be your dog, your mama, your daddy, your teacher, your brother, your neighbor, don't matter, don't care. Now, you can anchor in your twin flame through one of those people, and that it could jump amongst different people at different times. You may meet your twin several times through several different people. I meet him. It's always an older male with very dark skin and white hair. White beard, looks very similar to Obatala. Not Obatala, more of a Shiva energy. But I meet my twin. He comes to me more in dreams. And I know my soul is very feminine in nature. Or my role in the twin relationship is receptive. So that's what's coming through. Now let's examine this. Going beyond normal. 14 is that's the being riding the beast. 13 is the power of the beast. So it's the part that liberates, that breaks out of the matrix. You're welcome, Brandon. So I'm hearing one ring to rule them all. So a Saturn. Time. Okay, so Saturn's coming through. Mama Sakpata's here. So Sekmet Dazoji. I won't say that again, pardon me. So let's read this one. We're going to be reading from the Alana Fairchild Guidebook for the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And it's from card number 14. On page 70. You know what song's played twice? That song, Could You Believe We Put a Man on the Moon? No, I couldn't. You're not going to tell no lie to my vision. Fuck you and your mama. Excuse me. So, on the path of life, there are deciding moments where we can choose to go with the mainstream, or we can dare to take a bolder, more authentic and trusting way, even if it seems riskier or less safe. To rely solely on logic and science without incorporating the mysterious and magical is a recipe for an experience that is far too dry! Exclamation point. The sacred rebel within our hearts will always choose a juicier approach to life. You're currently approaching such a choice point. You could say that the choice is about balance. It is less about choosing to honor either art or science, gardening or architecture, and more about integrating all approaches so that you can enhance rather than hinder your life journey. Playing science or architecture above all else kills off the rebellious heart. Steadfastly relying on logic, proof, and a complete set of plans to measure and dictate outcomes will suffocate the soul. Basing decisions on limited factors with an imbalanced measure of success is unnecessarily limiting. This approach prevents us from living freely, spontaneously, and with trust, so that we can rebel against the need for things to go strictly according to plan. Choose to value decisions based on passion and instinct and trust in life enough to embrace it as an adventure and let it unfold as it will. There is a time and place for logic, strategy, planning, and measurable outcomes. These are not bad tools to have, but we must be vigilant not to worship them or allow them to quash our less rational but equally valuable decision-making tools. Intuitions, feelings, and those things you know without knowing how you know them. The flowing, inspirational energy of the heart may have no conceivable basis in logic or reason and still be uncannily accurate, if not more so. To remain rebellious, we must not sacrifice the art of emotion, instinct, passion, and intuition for science and logic of strict planning. On the other hand, gardening and art do provide us with plain, albeit more loosely held. This plan still requires us to set time aside to draw upon reliable methods to prepare certain tools. It's saying that even though you have your intuition, make sure that you're developing them both more. And that this experience is not something that could be followed logically. Your path is not going to be one of planning. Who cares if you get to the destination? What did you have to get through? What did you have to grow through on the way? And the destination don't matter no nothing if you didn't get beat down on the way there. You ain't a hero. That's what they're saying. You may have pressures around you from the world or from your own conditioned nature to do things according to the rules, to a deadline, or to be accepted by mainstream viewpoints and well thought out plans for success in a commercial venture. However, sometimes the best plan is to do what feels intuitively truthful in the moment and to trust that you are being, oh wow, this is a thick one, led towards your own growth. Adopting this approach means you have to do far less planning and a lot more living. It is a pure and heart-centered way to manifest your art, your life path, and your essence into practical expressions in this world. It involves a willingness to be led by nature instead of trying to control the powerful force of life, which is a bit like trying to figure out the proverbial ocean in a teacup. It is far more intelligent to allow the ocean to be the ocean and to learn to swim in it rather than trying to cram it into a vessel that is much too small. This oracle brings a special piece of guidance. You are being moved towards an outside of the plan. You are living on a border of what is socially accepted. This is good. This is a fringe dwelling freedom. Others might not see this about you straight away, and you may seem pretty normal, but the secret of it all is that there's an eccentric streak just waiting to show itself. And maybe you are an out and proud fringe dweller, completely comfortable with that way of being. Either way, this oracle brings the message that you have a chance to live from the heart and more deeply and expressively than ever before. So if you're finding that you're growing into a new person, into a new, bigger, brighter, better, don't be afraid to break out, break free. If you need to break the mold in the status quo, rescind some commitments, rescind some agreements, return to sender kind of energy, revoke, rebuke, recollect, return to rightful owner, your power, your dignity, your sovereignty. Don't apologize. Don't do it. Be you, boo. And then you can help other people. But if you're struggling to swim, if you tread on water and almost drowning every damn day, if you have, too much month left over at the end of the money, if you have, too much skin in the game for somebody else who ain't contributing the same, then you gotta be courageous to break out of the mold, leave behind the status quo. And if you want to be stuck in a box, you're going to be stuck in a rut and you're going to be out of your damn mind, is how that is. You need not necessarily be meant to abandon logic and intellect altogether, but you are to step outside of fear and be more free and loving. Okay? You are to use them to serve your desires from the heart rather than replace its natural spontaneity. That means govern from the heart, witness from the mind. Use your intellect, use your reason, use your common damn sense to serve your heart, to serve your passion, to serve your drive, to serve your desires. Okay? Don't allow your life, don't allow the embodiment, the expression of your soul, don't allow the embodiment, the expression of your divinity to become this mechanized, controlled system, structure, plan. Allow your heart to be ever effervescent, free-flowing, free, right? There's some part of you that's already constricted in a body. I hate my body. I don't feel like I'm a man. I don't. I wish I was a big black woman. I could have a bunch of babies. I wish I had a house full of children laughing. That's how I am. Now, I have a mission and a purpose here in this lifetime. The goddess gave me a male vehicle, and I'll serve whatever use it has. There's many times I've had other conversations, but I know who I am. I know what's alive in me now. So there's something of me that needs to be alive and free. And the only thing that can be is my heart. That's the only thing I can control. I can't control the future. I can't control the past. I can control my present. And that's my experience. How I'm choosing to show up. So if I have a loving heart, an open mind, a free spirit, life could be good to me. I can find heaven on earth. I can have abundance of freedom in my spirit right here, right now, if that makes sense. Instead of like being succumbed to some power dynamic, some drama story, and stuck in limbo in some way, sacrificing my heart and soul and spirit, if that makes sense. That's my 2 cents on it. So again, use all of these things, all of these higher, use all of these ego-based structures as to serve instead of to control, instead of to govern. It is time to get a bit wild and let nature take its course. So I'm going to show you this card again. I'm going to lead you on a healing guided meditation really quickly. And if you need to go pee or get a water or some tea or something, go do it. It's going to last about 5 minutes, so hit pause right now because after this I'm going to jump into office hours. So again, my name is Sabrine, Priestess Gorgeous. Welcome to Vertex of Abundance, Galactic Temple of Ascension. Our job here is to be a bright light in the darkness, to help you take that red pill and to facilitate that red pill blue pill conversation, to give you technology out of the darkness, to give you technology to wake up and find yourself in the matrix. And that's my job here. I'm an Ascension and Galactic Consul, a galactic emissary of light, sent here to share love and create value. It is an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. We're not done yet. I'm going to lead you on a healing guided meditation. So again, take a pause, go take a piddle, get some tea, come on back. It's going to last about 5 minutes. Now, after this, if you email me at oracle@vertexofabundance.org, if we have some type of relationship right now, I can invite you into office hours. Now, this is for the East Coast. This is for the Pacifica group of the Mystery School. But since we're in open enrollment and we're having we're having a pre-grand opening, I'm going to open up office hours to the public. Just go ahead and step to the gate. So pop off an email, oracle@vertexofabundance.org. The office hours is going to be on Zoom, and it's going to last about half an hour, and it's 10 minutes away. It's happening pretty soon. So pop off an email, hit pause, go get some tea, go take a piddle, pop off an email, oracle@vertexofabundance.org. And the sermon will be here when you come back. So, or the guided meditation. I read the sermon already. Okay, so sit square. It's great if your feet are on the ground. So let me lower myself just a little bit. Okay, there we go. And roll your shoulders back. Take a deep breath through your nose. Let it out through your mouth slowly. You should feel your third eye or your chest vibrate. Maybe it'll get hot. It'll speak to you. So take another deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. Maybe you might need to do it a few times until you feel one of the chakras open. So it should be the ones above the heart. So the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Now the crown chakra is where God sits on you, or where your archangel, your guides, your ancestors sit on you to control, to operate the beast. So this is when you get mounted. So don't worry about your crown chakra. That's a different class. Okay. So if your fourth, your fifth, your sixth chakra, as you're breathe in through your nose, exhale. So I can feel my third eye and my heart. That means I'm seeing with love. Okay. Some people speak with love. Some people see with love. Some people embody love. Okay. So say out loud, I now call on unconditional love and ask for the blessings of the heart to be witnessed and sanctioned by the great universal creator, so that I may rise above small-mindedness and use the best of what human culture has to offer in service to love. Through my own free will, so be it. Again, let me repeat. I now call on unconditional love and ask for the blessings of the heart to be witnessed and sanctioned by the great universal creator, Mabusek Polisa, the supreme chief of the universe, so that I may rise above small-mindedness and use the best of what human culture has to offer in service to love. Through my own free will, so be it. Visualize or imagine the feeling of being in most gorgeous of gardens. It might be well manicured, a little bit wild or wildly overgrown jungle, but just notice it, beloved. Notice how all the plants work together and how it is supported by nature and the seasons. Notice that whilst some things thrive, others fall away, only to shift again with the seasons. There is such organizational genius Say aloud, may the wisdom and guiding hand of the great gardener who works with unconditional love nurture the garden of my soul into magnificence. I dare to live creatively from my heart and thrive. So go through this a few times if you want, but finish your healing process by sitting quietly, dancing wildly, or doing a spot of gardening, whatever feels good. So go to your place of yin, wherever your yin sacred container is. For me, it's dancing naked in the backyard at 6:30 in the morning as the sun is coming up. There's no place on earth I'd rather be than dancing naked to the sunrise. So wherever your space is, go and do that work. And reflect on this. May the wisdom and guiding hand of the great gardener who works with unconditional love nurture the garden of my soul into magnificence. I dare to live creatively from my heart and thrive. So I will put out a briefing on some meditation technologies, and I'll tie that into the Mystery School for the Serene Technique Lodge. And it was an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Again, pop up that email if you want to join the office hours. That'll be starting in about 5 minutes. I will put my seat back up now. And take good care of yourself. Blessings be upon you. It was an honor and a pleasure to serve you. We're taking a little bit of a sabbatical, but if you're a current student or coaching client or disciple, like a mentee, go ahead and pop up an email to oracle@vertexofabundance if you're looking for a reading. Now, if a reading came in the last couple of days, anywhere between Tuesday and Friday, you'll receive that by tomorrow morning. I'll be recording those as dusk is approaching. So as twilight hours encroach upon me at the temple here, I'll start the channel on those readings. So you'll get an email in the morning. And it'll come from the subject, the sender of the email will be Oracle Command. So, and there we go, right there. So, take good care of yourself. Talk to you soon. Bye.